Fit and Healthy here on more naturally stimulating talk radio, where we give you a dose of audio caffeine with no letdown or side effects, I might add. Yeah, there are sound effects, though, occasionally, and even sometimes some special effects. But here we have a special guest, Oreste DAversa. He's a university lecturer, business consultant, and trainer, and he's done on TV, radio, and featured in various journals. He's also the author of several books, including the one we're going to be talking about today, Life Beyond the Pandemic, a practical new journey and book. And we'd like to welcome him to the Dr. Health Radio microphones this morning. Good morning, Oreste. How the health are you?
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. And I really appreciate you having me on as a guest today on your show.
Well, thank you for being there. You know, you're only 5,000 miles away from where our studios are here in Honolulu. They're in New Jersey. Now, why did you write this book? You have several other books to your name. Why Beyond the Pandemic, or Life Beyond the Pandemic?
Well, I've become extremely concerned once the pandemic started with people losing their livelihoods, be it their jobs and or their businesses. And what I'm seeing is, unfortunately, a change in the population as to what's really important regarding work, life, and making a living.
Well, and, you know, so many people, I mean, millions of people have elected to take early retirement, as you know, Oreste, being a business consultant yourself. What is your view on that? Because, you know, you always, we've done shows on this before with various guests, and once people retire, that's when they go downhill health-wise, you know, more often than not, if they don't have something to take the place of the activity of a work life, or, you know, being in the workplace with social engagements and physical movement, things like that. And of course, you know, there's a lot of people that retire and go golfing and are very active, but you know, it's just a kind of a pattern that so many people, if they retire early, and so many millions of Americans have because of the pandemic, what's your take on this, and what's your take on retirement in general?
Well, retirement in and by itself is not a bad thing, but I think, you know, my personal belief is we're all here for a reason, a specific life purpose, as it were, and we all have specific work to do, and if we don't do that work, we feel unfulfilled. So even though someone can retire from the workaday world, there's always their life purpose. And once a person finds their life purpose, they'll feel young and be young and act young, and that transforms into being healthy. Personally, I view us as human beings as made up of 4 individual components: the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual. The physical is pretty straightforward. That is the body. The mental, the mind, the emotions, the emotional heart, and the spirit, the life force. And just because one retires doesn't mean they're done. Unfortunately, many people identify their identity with their jobs, and many times that's very unfortunate. So when they lose their jobs, they don't know who they are anymore.
Yeah, and that's happened so many times, or so often here with the pandemic, with people losing so many jobs. I mean, unemployment at first skyrocketed, now it's recovering. But yeah, you're absolutely right about that, and that's, I guess, what I was getting at when I was talking about retirement, is that people don't have the same sense of purpose anymore if they're not connected to the livelihood that you mentioned. And so I guess that's a whole other, maybe that could be your next book, you know, what to do in retirement. But now the book deals with how to rebuild one's life, or to modify things that are no longer relevant, or in some cases completely starting over. So everyone's on a slightly different or completely different path. So give us some guidance, if you would, in facing both ends of the spectrum, be it a minor or major life makeover, you know, as you're talking about your blueprint. Could you give some details on that?
Sure. In this day and age, the reality of life is we need to be prepared to have multiple careers. It's shown that realistically, between the workforce and people's personal lives, multiple careers are going to be required to make a living till one really decides to be retired. If you believe the premise, obviously, which I do, that we're all here for a reason and a purpose, then that means there's a job/career/reason for you to be here. The challenge is finding that. In my blueprint, what I've done is taken people from the spiritual and then bring them through the emotional and the mental, and then finally the physical. The physical being possibly a new job, or maybe running their own business. Or in this day and age, with the advent of technology, you find many people running their own business and having a job, and vice versa.
Right. So as far as the game plan, which is part one of your book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, let's talk about first things first. That's the chapter of your the first chapter of your book. What do people do? What are some of the initial steps that people need to take to achieve that?
Well, I think getting back to basics, I think we need to show appreciation and really understand, look at what we do have versus what we don't have, and take an inventory. First thing on the physical level, the reality of it is, if you're starting over, what's your financial situation? What monies have you saved, not saved? Be thankful for the things you have. As you're seeing, many people have lost their lives and or losing their lives, number one, through the pandemic, and number two, through natural disasters, as we've seen recently in Kentucky and other parts of the world with earthquakes and hurricanes and such. So getting back to basics means just that. Take an inventory of your life and all the different aspects, because many people may not be rich financially, but they may be rich in health, or they may be rich in other ways. And I think people don't really appreciate what they do have and start from that point on and start rebuilding their lives and rebuilding the foundations of their life at that point, from that point, I should say.
All right, and at this point, we need to take a bottom-of-the-hour break, and I have many more questions for you regarding your book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, A Practical New Journey Handbook. If you are just joining us, my guest, Oreste DAversa. He is the author of this book that we're talking about, and how to put your life back on track, no matter what is going on outside in the world, and no matter what is going on inside of you. And so it's a good time to relaunch, or in some cases, a lot of people procrastinate, and maybe I'll ask him that as my next question. If people have been procrastinating about doing something they've always wanted to do, maybe there's no better time than now to finally do that. So we'll talk about that and how it all impacts your health, both mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Back after this with more information for your good health here on Dr. Health. I'm David Snow. Don't go anywhere if you want to stay healthy. Back right after this as Dr. Health Radio continues.
That makes you you. Where did you get that confidence that lets you look like you do? Oh, what a love. Yeah, you're looking good. You take care of your teeth just like you should. Where did you get that smile, the one that belongs to you? Nothing looks so right than a smile that's so bright. Tell me where.
Some Sprite.
Sure, honey.
Thanks, Mom.
You know what that is? That's the sound of my child thanking me for giving her something that's actually good for her teeth. Spry Gum is part of the Spry Dental Defense System, a complete line of oral care products made with 100% xylitol, the all-natural sweetener with proven dental benefits. So when we're at home, my whole family uses Spry toothpaste and mouthwash to help strengthen our teeth and reduce the risk of tooth decay. And when we're on the go, I just throw some Spry Gum and mints right into my bag. My kids love it, and I love that it's all natural. No sugar, no aspartame, or any other chemicals. Just Just think of that. I reward my kids for taking care of their teeth at home by giving them gum and mints on the go that are good for their teeth. Visit sprydental.com or ask for Spry by name at your local health food store. You can also ask your dentist about Spry. And make sure your mouth is receiving all the benefits of 100% xylitol products.
At Vitamin Shoppe, Sprouts, Kroger, and most natural product retailers. Find a retailer near you at clear.com.
Want to get at the core issues that make weight loss so difficult? Try PGX from Natural Factors. This revolutionary product is clinically shown to help people achieve their ideal body weight in a safe, natural way. PGX helps you feel full for hours, dramatically reduces the glycemic index of any food, and improves the action of insulin. If you've ever tried to lose weight and failed, you need the tremendous support of PGX. Learn more at pgx.com.
Good for you. And a reminder, if you want to get a double dose of good health information, you can listen to the rebroadcast of the morning show tonight at 9 p.m. on the station you're listening to right now as we rebroadcast the morning show. Or you can always go to the website the week after it airs, and that's drhealthradio.com. Spell out the word doctor now, D-O-C-T-O-R, healthradio.com. David Snow on your radio, and we are appreciating that you are listening to us on this holiday weekend edition of the program. Or if you're just joining us, our guest is Oreste DAversa, and he's the author of Life Beyond the Pandemic. I think, Oreste, that I really like first of all, I like the fact that you have this blueprint format for a better health and life in your book, because you wouldn't think about building a house without a blueprint, and yet your life is arguably a lot more important and valuable than a house. And but so many people don't have really a plan or as you say, a blueprint for their lives. And no matter how good your life might be, it can always be improved if you really. There's always tweaks that can be made along the way, and then some people need more tweaks than others. But I also found it interesting that the 4 areas of your book, you were talking about the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental, but you put the spiritual on top. That's actually part 2, and then part 3 is emotional, followed by part 4 is the mental, and then the last is the physical. And yet in our world today, most people think of physical as being, which is our body, being the most important over our mind and life force and our emotional heart. So I found that interesting. But anyway, let's get into the 4 areas, and first of all, let's just cover them in the order that your book is listed in. And the spiritual, you talk about life force, and give us some quotes, if you would, regarding that.
Well, the life force, everything really starts on a spiritual level. And what I mean spiritual, it's not religious. It means what animates us is the life force. Because once we're dead, that life force leads us. So everything starts at a spiritual level. Then from there, it goes into our emotions, and then we think about it mentally, and then we manifest it on the physical plane. So the first thing, unfortunately, even though we're in the Western world, the reality of it is we're made up of these 4 components. The day-to-day life is viewed on the physical plane, but we all know people who are mentally not well, emotionally unstable, and spiritually don't have a connection to something greater than themselves. So what I really offer people in the book is just a real basic meditation technique to really connect body, mind, and spirit, which, if you like, I could do for your listeners on the phone, but unfortunately, if they're riding in a car, it wouldn't be a good thing. But
we don't want to put anybody asleep.
But what the irony is, in modern-day society, we're using our minds more and more and our backs less and less, yet we're not really taught how to use our minds effectively. That is, how to relax, how to really take the mind and engage it properly and work it properly. And then from there, as you're aware, being a doctor, we have issues of dis-ease, and the dis-ease manifests itself from the spiritual level, and we see emotional dis-ease where people do not know how to be of service, know how to love themselves, know how to love others. And then mentally, we have mental dis-ease. We have, as the age-old saying goes, we have stinking thinking. And what that means is we don't start thinking properly. The mind basically works as a computer. And also another saying goes, garbage in and garbage out. So the mind is more mechanical, and then the manifestation is the physical. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of negative manifestation. We're seeing a lot of people who are sick physically. We're seeing a lot of troubles on the planet with riots, and a lot of people who are not emotionally well. So by building from the ground up, starting with the basics, that is meditation on the spiritual level, and on the emotional level, we can drill down a little bit further, where people should start seeing themselves as an element of change vis-a-vis being of service to others, and also in that people helping them as well.
Okay. Now, I wanted to just clarify something, and I wanted you to finish that thought, though. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Sure.
I'm not a doctor. That's the name of this show.
Right.
I am a board-certified proctologist.
No, okay.
But the proctologist, that's the other end. But I'm not a medical doctor.
Okay.
Or a doctor of any kind, other than doctor of the airwaves. But
sure.
Thank you for the honorary degree.
Okay.
Anyway, and you were talking about all the problems in the world and everything. I think one main problem is, especially with this pandemic, is the news media is, if it bleeds, it leads. That's the popular internal dialogue in news departments and TV stations and newspapers and everything. And,
yes.
And the best news and the headline news is the bad news, right? But so many people are glued to their televisions and news media and anti-social media, as I call social media.
Sure.
Whether it's Facebook or Instasham or any of those others. But I think that when you talk about spiritual and emotional health, I mean, that's affecting us negatively if we always are hearing doom and gloom messages on the airwaves or in front of a screen, if we're sitting in front of a screen, whether it's a big TV screen or a computer screen.
Well, I agree with you. The challenge is we have everything we need within. Also, to discuss very briefly my other credentials, I'm a Interfaith Minister, meaning an Interfaith Minister is a minister that helps all people with all types of religions and background. And we have the answers within as we have the answers to our life purpose. We're all here for a specific reason, and we all know what we need and should be doing. The challenge is, many times, it's buried underneath all the noise that you just mentioned, and now the challenge is to get that knowledge we have from within and bring it out.
Okay. Now, I mentioned procrastination before, and I want to ask you about that.
Sure.
That was going to be my first question after the break. But as far as emotional baggage and procrastination and things that people just have habitual routines with, where they put things off, doing things they really want to do, but they keep putting it off. It's kind of like the tomorrow diet, right? I'll lose weight tomorrow. I mean, today's whether it's a holiday or a special occasion or graduation, whatever, there's always a reason to celebrate or have an extra portion of sweets or drinks or things that you shouldn't have. But in this day and age with the pandemic, how can people break through that procrastination and finally do the things they either need to do or want to do in their lives?
I think what I've done with my blueprint is I've designed small little goals for people to reach. As the saying goes, unfortunately, and whether hopefully your audience are not vegetarians, I should say, it's as the saying goes, how do you eat an elephant? A bite at a time. So with the blueprint, what I've done is I've made small, measurable goals. So by the time you're done with this journey, you have transformed yourself to where you are, to where you want to be. It is, the saying goes, by the inch, it's a cinch. By the mile, it takes a while. So,
you took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to mention that quote. So thank you for.
Sure.
No, it's true. It's a little corny, but memorable and very applicable to most people's lives. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So what I've done with the blueprint is with each chapter there's exercises at the end, and simple exercises, where you can start gradually changing and transforming your life to a more prosperous life. And when we talk about prosperity is all relative to what's important to you. Is prosperity good health? Then you're a rich person. In my mind, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. Okay? Is prosperity money? All right, is prosperity family, friends, etc., all the above. All right, it's all attainable. Once one understands why they're here, their true life purpose, and the life purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. Someone's life purpose may be a healer, but that doesn't mean they need to be a doctor, MD. Someone can be a healer in all those four capacities, as we spoke: a spiritual healer, emotional healer, a mental healer, a physical healer. All right. So someone's work may be as a healer, and then not necessarily go to med school. There's so many different methods of healing people. There's no shortage of problems in the world, and there are no shortage of people with problems, and the problems are varied. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I believe, again, because we're using our minds more and more, we're really not being taught and trained how to use the mind effectively. So we have dis-ease of the mind that's showing itself in various phobias and people being psychotic, and obviously we know what the rest of what's going on with the mass shootings and et cetera.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and then just as an aside here, just so for your information and for listeners that are new to the show, and I've mentioned it occasionally over the years, and the reason I never became a doctor is because I fainted the sight of blood, and so I thought, well, I'll get into health education, and I don't have to look at blood, but I can, talk to people that look at blood every day. So anyway, and of course you're not one that does, but you help us nevertheless to achieve better health. So Oreste, we need to take one last break of the hour, and when we come back, we'll tackle the other two legs of your so-called chair. It would seem to me that you really need all the core four, the spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, because it's kind of like the four legs on a chair. If one is missing, it's going to be wobbly and it won't support you. And
sure.
So I think one's more important than the other. But when we come back, we'll talk about the mental, our mind, mental health, and then physical health, which is what most of the world focuses in on. So we'll have more information for your good health here on Dr. Health Radio. I'm David Snow. Don't go anywhere if you want to stay healthy. Back right after this as the show continues.
Noni has been used by Polynesians and Hawaiians for over 2,000 years as their main medicinal plant. Now, our new products bring the power of Noni fruit to you in a pleasant-to-use form. Noni fruit leather is made from pure, organic, unfermented fruit and offers relief for many health problems inside and out. Our soothing lavender Noni lotion helps with pain, skin ailments, and sports injuries. Noni fruit leather and lavender Noni lotion are available online or at most health food stores. Try our Noni lotion and fruit leather for improved health and energy.
Since 70% of your immune system is in your gut, don't you think it's time to take a little better care of it? After all, so many things you're doing to it are affecting its function. Not getting enough fiber, eating too much sugar, excess stress and alcohol, as well as that sedentary lifestyle. So maybe it's time for a tune-up, an intestinal tune-up, with the medical-strength probiotics from Master Supplements. Their signature Cerelac, recommended by doctors for more than 15 years, will rapidly colonize your intestinal tract with the specific gut-friendly strains of potent beneficial bacteria, and their patent-protected delivery system has garnered Cerelac and their other probiotics with a worldwide reputation for results. There's also True Flora, a unique probiotic and enzyme blend with bio-cleansing effects, and True Bifido, specifically formulated for colon support. See all of the Master Supplements products at your nearest natural food store or go to Cerelac.com. Master Supplements, the probiotic pioneers.
Curcumin-rich ferrocurmin from Natural Factors is a special form of curcumin, the yellow pigment of turmeric that has shown many wondrous health benefits. Ferrocurmin represents a major scientific breakthrough. Clinical studies show that when it comes to absorption, ferrocurmin is by far number one. Finally, the powerful health benefits of curcumin can be realized with curcumin-rich ferrocurmin. To learn more, visit naturalfactors.com.
Dr. Health Radio to their patients who listen to radio. Ask your doctor if Dr. Health is right for you. David Snow on your radio. Welcome back to the Cure for the Common radio show, and it's your weekly dose of verbal vitamins. And here to dispense some of those verbal vitamins with me is Oreste DAversa. He's the author of Life Beyond the Pandemic, a practical new journey handbook. Oreste, how can people get a copy of the book if they want to obtain one?
Well, the book's available on Amazon.com, and also I'll make a special offer to your listeners at the end if you like, or I can offer it now. As yes, I'd like to offer your listeners a complimentary chapter of the book where they can go to my website and get that, and the website is www.lifebeyondthepandemic.com.
Okay, lifebeyondthepandemic.com it is. All right, let's talk about we talked before the break about the spiritual aspect of lives and emotional aspect. Now let's talk about the physical and the mental first and then the physical. So there's, the power of the mind, the mind is what powers the body, or it instructs the body as far as what to do. So let's talk about how important having a healthy mental state is to not only facing the pandemic, but any challenge in life and just day-to-day living.
Sure. I mean, it's really important that all of us put good things in our mind, because the mind does work like a computer, and my background also is in technology, having spent 20 years in the industry. Whatever you put into a computer, as the saying goes, garbage in and garbage out. So, and it's important to have positive thoughts. Now, the challenge is with the media, like everything else, there's good points and bad points. But that's why we have the gift of discernment to discern what is right and what's not right. I always tell people people who consume the media, always get your media as much as possible from the source of the person who's saying it, right out of their mouths. So you make the decision of what was said, what was actually said, and try not to live in video bites and sound bites. Go to the person making the talk, listen to what they actually said in completeness, and then make a decision. But also regarding the mind, as I mentioned before, I'm a very big proponent on creative visualization, guided imagery to enhance positive thinking, and meditation goes back to probably since the year we were born and we had consciousness. And once people start meditating, it should be part of the regular, what I call mental hygiene. Like physical hygiene, we need mental hygiene. And what mental hygiene is, comparable to physical hygiene, is really to cleanse our minds of negative thoughts. So as we cleanse our bodies, when we bathe, we need to cleanse our minds and have positive thoughts in there with meditation, things like creative visualization and guided imagery.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah. And another thing about the media that you were talking about, one of my quotes is the amount of time you spend watching the television news should not exceed the amount of time you spend exercising that same day. So if you watch an hour of news, you got to work out for an hour.
Sure.
That's the deal to make with yourself. So.
Sure.
All right. Now we just have a matter of minutes left, so let's talk about the physical body, and that's what a big part of the show is about.
Sure.
Being physically fit and eating right, exercising, and being in tune with Mother Nature. And actually, chapter 24 of your book, you have that front and center, eating right, exercise, and Mother Nature. And so talk about that, if you would. Give us a few tips in that regard or in that area of life.
Well, the reality of it is we all know what to do. We all know to eat right and exercise, and eating right is consuming more fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, watching our animal protein. The challenge is we all know about it. The challenge is doing it. Exercise on a moderate basis is good for all of us. On a spiritual level, connecting back to the spirituality, as you've noticed, these four components are interdependent upon one another, and that's a fancy word meaning that they all work together. Nothing gets you more centered in life and gives you a reality check than connecting with Mother Nature. You folks in Hawaii, which I'm longing to visit one day, are really almost at the epicenter of just beautiful nature. But there's nature all over the world, be it a park, the mountains, the oceans, the bays. We could discuss it on and on and on and on. But from a spiritual point of view, when connecting back to nature, you'll notice things are very simple. The rock is the rock. It doesn't try to be the cat or the dog or the banana. The tree is the tree. And it puts you into a proper state of mind. And once you marry just a real basic meditation technique, and with spending time in nature, you put your life in proper perspective. And when we talk about meditation, we're not talking about, doing something strange and peculiar, something really that's out in left field. We're talking about a really basic meditative technique, just as closing your eyes and just focusing on where you are. Because the reality of it is, the only moment we have in time is this moment. Hence, it's called the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true. And with the last few minutes of the show, why don't we talk about the last few chapters of your book, Oreste, and that would be your life purpose statement, your master plan, and then celebrating your life purpose, getting back to being more prosperous as we were before the pandemic. Give us some tips or your words of wisdom on that just in the last few minutes of the show.
Sure. The life purpose statement is basically telling the world what's your life purpose and why you're here. Financial prosperity is there. If we're here for a specific reason, which is my personal belief, and I think the belief of many people's and of your listeners, that means there's a place for us here. The challenge is finding our specific place, be it in a job, or be it running your own business, or both. You could work for someone and their business, for instance, part of their business may be helping the community. Well, then you're kind of doing your life purpose indirectly by working for that company. So there's many ways that we could live our life purpose. And it doesn't always have to be on the physical plane. One's life purpose could be being a good parent, being a good shepherd to the animals. We have all these animals that they're in dog pounds and pounds and such. So viewing the life purpose is on multiple different planes, but we are here for a reason. The life purpose statement just tells the world, hi, my name is Oreste DAversa. My purpose here is to help people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to live their lives for the reason why they're here. All right, and
I like it.
Thank you. And the other things are pretty mechanical. Writing a resume, writing a business plan. The reality of it is, we live, as the saying goes, probably in the best of times and in the worst of times. Look at what we're doing right now. We're 5,000 miles away. With social media, we're able to communicate with people around the world in minutes that we could never do, that took years, many years ago. Now we're reaching out to people around the world. But by the same token, I think our responsibility is to help those who are less fortunate, and that's one of the reasons why once we find our life purpose, we become prosperous in our own world and we make the world a more prosperous and better place.
On those words, I think that's a great way to end the show on a positive note. Oreste DAversa, and thank you so much. And give us your website once more to get for people wanting to get a copy of your book, Life Beyond the Pandemic, a practical new journey handbook.
Yes, the book book is available on Amazon.com, and as a thank you for being a guest on your show, I'll offer your folks a complimentary chapter of the website, and that's at www.lifebeyondthepandemic.com.
All right, great. Well, keep up the good work, and let us know of any future developments, or if you have a new book out on a similar subject, or on how we can improve our lives and our health, for sure.
Very good. Thank you once again for having me as a guest on your show, and keep up the good work on your end as well.
Thank you so much. All right, there goes Oreste DAversa, and here we go with another edition of the program. But join us again next week, same time, same station, for another edition of Dr. Health Radio. Thank you so much for joining us today, and remember, it's not how long you live, it's how you live long. Aloha. Have a healthy week.